Welcome to the Native Diamond Podcast.
Oh, shit! What you waiting for?
Please don't forget to like the video, hit subscribe, ring the bell. That way you're notified every time I drop a new episode of Native Diamond Podcast. Feel free to drop a comment because I love hearing feedback from you guys. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. What's up, my dudes? Seth Mick here. This is Native Diamond Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. And today, I'm hanging out with Frontside, pop punk band based out of North Carolina, where I'm also from. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
For real.
Definitely. So how I start off every podcast is with 25 or so either or style questions, my icebreaker questions, and I'll go ahead and kick it off with the first one. If I gave you some money to go shopping, would you find yourself at Hot Topic or Goodwill?
I'm going to have to say Goodwill just because I think I'm going to get more bang for my buck. And I'm a value guy.
I'm going to have to go with Hot Topic because their skinny jeans really fit my thick legs well.
So based off the name, I'm guessing it has to do with some type of skateboarding, front side or backside.
Frontside.
I feel like it would be so goofy if you didn't pick that.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be definitely going against the grain.
Since we're from North Carolina, Cheerwine or Sundrop?
Sundrop.
Cheerwine.
Cheerwine's
Wow.
for the birds.
Well,
If you're listening, Cheerwine and Sundrop exclusive to North Carolina. It's a good reason to come down here and visit. We have soda that you don't have.
Pepsi is North Carolina too.
yeah.
Yeah, Pepsi, yeah. Isn't that kind of weird?
It is.
Says a lot about our history.
It
Yeah.
explains why we're overweight, yeah.
Those thick legs.
Yeah, it explains the thick legs for sure, yeah.
It is October, so like we're going into this whole Halloween season. The Nightmare Before Christmas or A Nightmare on Elm Street?
I'm saying A Nightmare Before Christmas. It's just a classic movie for the whole family. Freddy Krueger, not my guy. Jack Skellington over here. I've related to him a bit more in my life.
Nice. Who played the better villain? Hans Gruber, Die Hard, or Tyler Durden, Fight Club?
I hardly even remember Fight Club. I saw like half of it.
Well, I just don't really know. I'm going to say Fight Club because it's my only experience.
Who would you rather meet if you could? G.G. Allen or Henry Rollins?
G.G. Allen was the one that with all the... Can I curse on here?
You can do whatever you want. I don't care.
He was the one that played with his shit on stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going with him then.
Yeah, man.
You remember that CKY clip where they go and piss all over his grave and it's just like, G.G. fucking Allen.
Do you guys mind if I smoke CBD on here? I'm not smoking crack. I don't want you guys to get the
Go
wrong
ahead.
impression. All right, cool.
Hey, you can smoke crack on here. Yeah.
That's great. I recently stopped smoking weed. It's unproductive for myself. So I started smoking CBD because it's legal. So yeah, doing
No,
what I'm
I
legally
was
allowed to do.
We had a practice last night, and I ate some CBD taffy, and it got me feeling real relaxed. Like I think it took me down to a good level. Yeah, so I mean I'm on the CBD train for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I've been smoking CBD flower. Right now I'm smoking this like sour D strain. It's pretty good. But yeah, it's just
I
less
didn't know they
expensive.
still had funky flavors like that.
Dude, yeah. I'll go ahead and plug what I order from. Fuck it. Industrialhempfarm.com is where I get my flour from. And here, I'll pull out my pack right here. Look.
Go to Medicine Mamas if you're in Raleigh.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I might go to Raleigh here soon. But look, you get this cool like little package delivered to your doorstep. And you can
Nice.
order like 7 grams. You can order a half ounce or whatever, quarter ounce, whatever you need. It's completely legal, so you can't bust me for that. Would you rather eat at a pizza joint or fine dining?
Pizza joint.
I mean, yeah, pizza.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy one.
I'm not a fancy guy. I'll take a fancy pizza, but not like too fancy.
They got some good fancy pizza spots around here.
What
Best
are
of
some
both worlds.
honorable mentions?
Hit them with it.
Lily's Pizza.
Cool.
Lily's is in Raleigh now, and actually, that's it.
Sophia's though.
Oh, yeah, shoot.
Sophia's and pizza in Durham is really, really good.
Sophia's, you go get their grilled chicken pizza. Do not sleep on that, even though I literally just slept on it.
That's awesome, dude. As far as traveling, I usually go to like Asheville. I'm like 3 hours away from Wilson, but it's about 3 hours away from like Chapel Hill, that area, anyways. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too far. I end up going to Charlotte a fair amount for work, so it's not too bad of a drive.
right. So what do you do for work?
Oh, for work? So I'm a truck driver actually.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool. It's really boring, but yeah,
Stage dive or standing in the back?
standing in the back.
Oh yeah, I'm standing in the back.
For sure.
I found that you get back there by the soundboard, you're gonna get the best sound in the room.
I never trusted anybody enough to like jump out into a crowd. Every once in a while, there's some human being that just like slips through the cracks, and that would be me almost for sure.
When things stop for a second at the show, it's like, wait, I'm all right. It's gonna be one of those moments for sure.
This is like referring to the franchise in general. Jurassic Park or The Godfather?
Godfather, just a bad boy. I don't know, no real reason for that.
Nice.
I'd have to say Jurassic Park because I like the dinosaurs with the really long necks. It's super interesting that they would make their necks that long.
That is really cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Jurassic Park, like the recent ones have been just really over the top and just really fucking like just crazy detailed. It's insane.
Like whenever I think about Jurassic Park, I just think about like these really long necks and also Jeff Goldblum just splayed out. Yeah.
It's hard because The Godfather, dude, classic option, of course, but I don't know, like they missed me with like the third one, I think. But, 1 and 2 are solid. But I feel like every Jurassic Park has been like over the top, delivers what it's supposed to deliver. It's just really good.
So what's yours?
If I had to pick one, I'm going Jurassic Park, dude. I have to. Like, I love Godfather 1 for sure. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. But pertaining to the question, whole franchise, man, I have to go with Jurassic Park. I mean, come on. It's fucking cool. Yeah. Wait, have you guys been to Universal Studios?
Nah.
Mm-mm.
Well, there's like a Jurassic Park ride and you go down this like thing and you get drenched, but it's like it's a cool vibe. I don't know of any Godfather rides anywhere, so
you don't want to go on it.
Yeah. I mean, like, what would you actually do? Get shot in a pizzeria or something? Like, there's not much to sell beyond the movie. Okay, if you could have like a dream day, speaking of that, would you rather hang out at a really, really cool pool with like a bar and all this crazy shit? Or would you rather hang out at an amusement park?
I'd probably say amusement park because I feel like I regularly can be at places where I swim and drink alcohol. Amusement park's always been kind of like that once a year, like going there in the summer. It's always been a blast.
I'd have to agree with that. Yeah. Going to King's Dominion back in the day was pretty good.
We used to go to King's Dominion in the summer. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
We're not going to talk about that.
I don't know if you guys are like huge horror movie fans, but like I mentioned before, this is approaching the Halloween season. So I'm asking a bunch of horror questions. So The Conjuring or The Shining?
The Shining.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched either. And it's funny because I do love horror movies, but I mean, I have definitely missed some. I guess that would be called staples. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic for sure. I only watched it because it's a classic. I got guilted into it. Truth be told, I don't watch many movies, so I'm just glad I'm glad you're saying some that I've watched.
Would you rather pick Bad Religion or The Ramones?
The Ramones.
Bad Religion. I've never really listened to the Ramones. I think they're probably essential to like pop and rock music for sure, but I mean, Bad Religion is just a band that I've listened to more in my life and probably taken more from.
Honestly, out of the two, I would have to pick Bad Religion. I ultimately grew up in California, and that was like one of the first like punk bands I ever heard of.
I couldn't even name a Bad Religion song, actually.
Oh, dude, you heard one. I swear to God, you have. Like if
You
you've
can't
ever
name one.
played Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you've
Oh
definitely
yeah.
heard
Oh yeah. I probably heard one, but I couldn't name it.
for
That's still
sure.
true. Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad you said that
I'm a
because
few
like
bars.
I'm fucking terrible at remembering names. Like I can be like, yeah, I listened to this band, I've listened to them 100 times, but I'm like fucking terrible with names.
The names of the songs.
Just yeah, names in general. Like I can be like, yeah, I know that band. I know that band. I listen to the fuck out of that band, but I'm like terrible with like album names and song names and stuff like that.
That's when you just gotta break out into song. People are like, "Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about." Yeah, no, I've heard that for sure.
Who would win in this fight? Iron Man or Neo from the Matrix?
Are we in the Matrix?
It can be. This is a definitely objective as you want kind of question.
I'd say that would be the deciding factor, but shoot, I don't know, man. There's some layers to this. Going Iron Man.
I think Neo could just like I don't know, he could glitch out or something. He could probably disappear for a little while or something.
I think the weird part of this question would be like if Neo was fighting him, I think that would pertain to the Matrix. So he could like alter whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would have to say
But
Neo. This is my take.
It'd be a tough fight.
It would. Because
Yeah.
Iron Man, he's got like all these motion sensors and he's kind of futuristic in a way. I feel like his technology is really advanced. It's not going to be like you're fighting Batman or something. I'm paying homage to the 60s this month, and we're paying homage to classic cars. So pertaining to the classics, Chevelle or VW bus.
VW bus.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not like a huge car buff, but the old bus, especially if you were in a band at that time, touring in these bad boys, or just like being a hippie in general, seemed like the life.
Our friend Hunter used to have one of those and it was running for a little bit. It wasn't very long, but it was that was a good week. Yeah. I got to drive it one time and so they're 4 speeds. And I'll never forget. Well, he would always describe it as it feels like shifting a boulder. And you know what? That was pretty accurate. I've never actually shifted a boulder, so I actually can't say that. But it's about what I imagine it would be like.
That's cool. Pertaining to pop punk, MGK or Blink 182.
Blink
Blink
182.
yeah.
Without Blink 182, there's no MGK.
I feel that.
I mean, and he kind of just became pop punk, right? I mean, are we even claiming him yet?
I think so at this point. Um, here's my deciding factor here. I think it's really important that, he made that move because I feel like there's like a trend that's just kind of like going under the radar, so to speak. And he could be helping people like gravitate towards like more guitar played driven music or whatever. You know what I mean? So I feel like the genre itself can only benefit from this.
Oh no, for sure. I really enjoy the new stuff that he's done, and I think it opens up. It's kind of opening up some borders. I mean, for people who wouldn't have listened to music like that, in the same way that Blink 182 did in their time. I mean, how many pop punk bands have reached that kind of level of success and influence?
Oh geez, yeah. And like Travis Barker, like he's managed to stay relevant for so long. Like I remember back in like '09, he was doing like drum covers of like rap songs.
Yeah, I'm glad MGK is able to take like his hip hop or rap background and incorporate pop punk elements into it. Because it is important to just kind of if there are younger people that really like MGK, they're able to look at, oh hey, he's holding a guitar, like that's the cool thing. Like maybe I should pay attention to that, and it's not just dinosaurs that use that now. Like
Yeah,
not trying to
valid
dwell on
point.
Jurassic Park, but yeah, showing that it's still a relevant way of making music is I like that. His voice is pretty underwhelming though. Yeah, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
Blink 182. Yeah, that was like my That really popped my cherry.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like set the path. As a kid listening to Blink-182, I mean, it paved the way for literally everything else I've listened to. So
I mean, I would have to, yeah, give it to them as far as the genre. I mean, they were leaps and bounds above a lot of other bands. I mean, I would say like the Descendants, were like the precursor for them, but they took that space and then they ran with it, made it really commercial, and I mean, just made it really popular. I mean, it was huge back in the day. I mean, it's still relevant, but it was like a big fucking thing back in the day. So back to some horror type questions. The Haunting of Hill House or Stranger Things?
Stranger Things, just because we live in Durham and that's where the writers of it are from. What's the last season? Season 3, I think that came out.
Yeah, season
Whenever
3.
whenever that season hit, I got like 10 texts that were like, dude, you look just like this guy. You look like the Russian guy that's in Stranger Things. And I was like, he looks like me. He's copying me.
I just recently watched The Haunting of Bly Manor, which has nothing to do with the Hill House, but it's made by the same people, and it's just a different story altogether. But me and my wife like binge watched that. It was like fucking a 9-hour movie. It was really cool. So I'll shout that out. If you have Netflix, The Haunting of Bly Manor and The Haunting of Hill House, I think you would enjoy it. Which do you like better, Circle Pit or Wall of Death?
I'm gonna die in either of those. So on YouTube, I'd rather watch A Wall of Death.
I, just for like longevity. I mean, I'd have to go with the Circle Pit.
I'll say like the spirit of a circle pit is cool because everyone's in it together.
Yeah.
Wall of Death, it's like I don't even want to hit you, but we got to, right?
Do you guys go to a lot of metal shows, or like did you back when we could, I guess?
That's more Josh's thing.
Yeah, I have been to a lot of metal shows, played in metal bands, and the last show I went to was actually a metal show.
Sick.
It was right before everything shut down.
I forget what the last metal show I went to was. Jeez.
You think it was more something local, probably?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The death in me, the death in you, the death in somebody at a merge. I think that was the last metal show I went to.
Okay.
I think you named like 50 metal bands. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You're probably not wrong, yeah.
Last metal show before lockdown, it was in March. Devin Townsend with the Contortionists at
Sick.
Charlotte Underground.
That sounds like it sounds like a lineup for Charlotte. Yeah, the Contortionists, really sick band. They come around quite often, actually. I initially started off as like just a metalcore podcast, but recently stretched my wings onto more alt music and pop punk and stuff like that because I just like that. So now I'm more of like the emo screamo podcast. So there you go.
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. I had to open my doors because can't be too niche. I enjoy all these things, so why not share them? I mean, I grew up pop punk, so it's like I feel like I have to pay homage in a way.
Got to pay respects.
You have to, man. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have got into the other stuff. So I'm just like, you know what? It's who I am, right?
Pop punk is a gateway drug for sure.
I find myself listening to a lot more pop punk these days because I just like singing along to a song. I really enjoy that part of it. Which venue would you rather perform at? Madison Square Garden in Manhattan or Red Rocks in Colorado?
I'd say probably Red Rocks. I always think about Incubus playing there, and not that I'm the biggest Incubus fan ever, but it seemed like a really cool vibe, and that's probably because of the band. But I can't think of any Madison Square Garden performances that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Red Rocks too.
I'm sure there are a ton, but I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I'd much rather go to Red Rocks. I mean, it's just really cool. The seats look like Flintstone-y. It's just really cool. I just feel like the experience would be really neat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which would you rather have? All the tattoos you've ever wanted or a new pair of shoes every month for the rest of your life?
Shoes.
Yeah, shoes.
Shoes, yeah. I want I'm gonna get a like really large collection of Air Force Ones going soon, so that would be a great thing to get in on.
That's cool. Yeah.
Do you know anybody?
Dude, actually, my boss is like always buying shoes, so I'll just hit him with the plug. I'll be like, "Yo, who are you getting the shoes from?" That's really cool, dude. I'm like a Vans connoisseur. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I feel like I scuff my Vans, I like buy a new pair, and it's kind of bad. It's getting to a problem, becoming a problem. Would you rather listen to Movements or Belmont?
Belmont.
Belmont, yeah.
I like Belmont.
They have some. Their drummer's really talented. So
You guys remind me of Belmont, but like not in a weird like comparison kind of way. But you know, if I had to like compare them, like be like, oh, they're similar to, I would say like Belmont.
yeah, definitely in the same realm.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you rather go on vacay? Key West or Bourbon Street?
Bourbon Street, because that just seems like a shit show, and that would be so much fun. When I think about Bourbon Street, I always think about that level, playing that level on Tony Hawk,
Oh yeah.
and like that and the countless pictures and videos I've seen. I mean, it looks like a really good time. I can't imagine what kind of toll coronavirus has taken on it.
Hmm.
Probably nuts.
Actually, no, they probably didn't slow down.
You know
actually.
what? They're all immune to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Too drunk.
yeah.
Yeah, Key West seems like it'd be like too nice. It seems like resort style. I'm sure it gets rowdy down there, but it seems more resort.
I'm not even
style.
sure. I'm not even sure if I know enough about it to say anything like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably just its own kind of shit show, different
Yeah.
style.
I think of like drunk, sunburned old people getting frisky when I think about Key West. So that's not something I want to get into at this part in my life. Maybe later.
Maybe later. Would you rather star on your own TV show or work with your favorite music producer?
Work with my favorite music producer.
That seems like that kind of level of fame, if it's a successful one, seems it doesn't seem like anything that I'd be interested in.
What is a band that you would love to go on tour with?
Coheed.
And Cambria.
Nice. Yeah, I could see that. That's cool.
Yeah, long time favorite band.
I think like what they've done with a career of music is incredible, and you know all anyone playing stuff that I'm interested in and stuff that we're playing could really hope for. Coheed.
I've yet to get that on the show, so I appreciate you plugging Coheed into the show. Well, anyway, that does it for the icebreaker questions. Thank you so much for playing, and I hope you guys enjoyed those as much as I did.
Yeah, man, ice is broken.
Well, what have you guys been up to lately?
Well, we put out a music video earlier this month with our new single, and that has been, the reception of that has been pretty freaking awesome. It's always nervous, like building up to these things, because we've been sitting on the music and working on the background stuff for so long. So when it gets here, it's like a real breath of fresh air. But yeah, I mean, we're just kind of, we're working on the next, always on to the next thing.
I mean, lately it's just been getting everything together for the music video, just in general onboarding with the label and making. I mean, even just the smallest decisions, they just kind of add up, and I think that's been a lot of what we've been doing with the band so far. It's been a fair amount.
That's really cool. So like what new music have you guys been checking out, or what podcasts do you guys listen to on the regular?
I'll give a little shout out. Last week, a band called The Most put out a pretty sick record that I've been listening to a lot. The new Deftones album kicks ass. I think that was a couple weeks ago. And there's like a indie emo band called Into It Over It that dropped a LP last month. So really, I mean, 2020 has been kind of full of bangers and a lot of good new music for me.
It's not even new by any means, but I've started listening to the Velveteen a whole lot. They're just an incredible band. You just find little albums that are, scattered throughout the early 2000s that really, really do something for you. So I've been riding that for a while now.
I listened to the newest release that you guys had all day. Well, like the previous album from 2018, essentially, eventually. So I was listening to that all morning, and I heard the new single or whatever. When did you guys get signed to Revival Records?
We got announced, and I suppose that would be, I mean, that's all that matters. Last month, that would be September. So, yeah, we've been talking to them all summer, trying to get ready for this, but everything's official now, announced to the world, and it feels really good to have a team at Revival who actually cares about the success of this release and what we're doing. It's a refreshing place to be.
We haven't been with them for. I mean, we've been talking with them for what, about like half a year now or so. But yeah, it's definitely a good departure from what we were doing with essentially, which was another label was handling the release of that. I'm excited to put this next record out with Revival. There's some very cool people to be working with.
Like another band that has kind of been on my radar, but Avoid, I'm sure you've heard of them. Yeah, like that's been all over Sirius XM, like Octane and shit like that. I realized like what label that was, and I was like, damn, like, I mean, Revival is like sneaking under the radar, but they have really solid bands. So like I think that's something to be, very proud of.
Yeah, I'm flattered personally. Another band that I really like is the Home Team. They're a pop punk band from Seattle, and yeah, they sound really great, and they're on Revival as well. I'm not sure how they shook hands, but really grateful for it.
Yeah. Can't forget about Alisana too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Emo Screamo. I mean, they are like pioneers in that for real.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I've listened to them quite a bit growing up. Yeah, speaking of like, older, emo screamo type bands, like what are some like memorable albums that you guys remember coming up with?
Silverstein.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the emo screamo.
Yeah.
Um,
Them and Census Fell, I feel like went hand in hand. I was
Yeah.
listening to all that around the same time.
those were definitely the bigger ones. Not that I'm a good screamer by any measure, but it was just by what was it?
The video, it's like a Warped Tour
Yeah.
video with Silverstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane Told, it's what's the song? He just drops the mic.
The
and
Weak
it's-
and the Wounded.
The Weak and the Wounded, and he's just screaming at the crowd. I mean, you don't see people do that.
I was
That's
like, you
really
know
cool,
what?
yeah.
I want to scream at the top of my. I want to scream bloody murder too.
Influential albums growing up.
What is the one?
Cuts get deep.
Shoot.
There's a band called Monine that I think we drew an incredible amount of influence from. They're a Canadian indie punk band, something like that.
Indie
Mhm.
math rock band.
Indie math rock, yeah. Boys Night Out.
Boys Night Out.
More Canadian, and they're in that same realm as the Silverstein Census Bell, where they like walk these lines between really poppy rock and like some heavier parts. But they just had something a bit different to them that I always loved. Boys Night Out, check them.
It's always having a bit of a technical element. I mean, it doesn't have to always be right in your face.
Dude, I love Silverstein, and I watched Census Fail at the last Warped Tour, so like it was very nostalgic. But like, yeah, I grew up listening to Silverstein, like Under Oath, like that type of shit. Forever indebted to emo screamo stuff. So like, how long have you guys been at it?
We have been FS since 2008.
Nice.
And yeah, it wasn't until a couple of years ago that we just switched over to being Frontside. We just spelled FS out. But yeah, I mean, it's been 12 years, and I mean that was when we were just kids. So I mean, we grew up together playing music, and we've just stuck with it because it always felt like the right thing to do. We were playing music together even before that,
Yeah.
but we actually just found something to stick with
I'd
at
say
that time.
things started to take shape in 2008, and maybe even barely, but you got to put some kind of timestamp on it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys were able to be on the show and you guys are present, because I am also from North Carolina. I'm from the Charlotte area. So like when I saw that it was like a North Carolina band, I jumped all over it. This is actually the first North Carolina band that I've done.
Happy to be here.
When you guys did your initial like full length album, Were you guys signed at that point, or was that still like kind of like a breaking point?
The background on that is really just, I mean, half of the songs were recorded, or I mean, they were released in 2013, and then the other half was released in 2017. And a label approached us, and they were like, "Hey, really like your stuff. We want to put it out, but we only but we only want to put it out once." And we were like, "All right, we'll just put the EPs out, just put the EPs out together then." So they kind of just got smushed together and sent off that way. So I mean, whenever the full length came together, yeah, we were on a label, but we recorded them completely separate from a label.
That's really interesting because, like, basically, you know, like I have a lot of DIY presence on the show. There's a lot of bands that I'm friends with and talk to and stuff like that that are they actually are doing like really good numbers, but they're not exactly signed. And I know a lot of the bands that I talk to like kind of float in between. They don't know if they should sign or they don't know if they should just stay independent. So, speaking from your own experience, what do you think the best like decision was, to sign, or do you think that you guys were doing, you know, pretty good on, you know, your own, not throwing shade on the label or anything like that?
Uh, I'd say, you know, it was a good move, but that's not saying that for every band and for every label, it's gonna be like hop on the first opportunity you get, because that one's probably not gonna be great. So just take your time, look into it, and think about what you need for your band.
We were given a good opportunity with somebody that at least mostly knows what they're doing. I mean, we were able to, you know, work with that, and it was pretty low obligation on our point. It was better than the music ever did on its own. So, you know, if you're doing well on your own, well then go ahead and you get to keep half your royalties or whatever. And if not, then it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I think it's good. I always think it's good to have more people that are in support of what you're doing at the end of the day.
So, like a segment on the show that I like to do is crazy road stories. Do you guys have any that you're willing to spill?
So the last tour we went on, which was, I mean, last year, it was in December. After getting pushed back a couple times, we were finally en route to Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, so we made the long haul up there, and we ended up, when we got to the venue, nobody was really there. Like, there was a bartender, and we were like, "Hey, we're in the band playing tonight," and she was like, "Well, I didn't know that a band was playing tonight, but you can load up there if you want." And it was upstairs, and basically the decision was made. We weren't going to do that. Morale was pretty low because because we played in Charlotte, we played at Skylark.
Mm-hmm.
We go up to Detroit. That's our next show.
Mm-hmm.
Craziest tour ever.
Great rounding.
Yeah, and morale was low because we weren't playing a show. Like, second night into this tour, we were like, okay, we need to go drink alcohol quick. So we end up going to this Irish pub. It's called Nancy Whiskey.
Nancy's Whiskey.
Shout out to Nancy Whiskey. We get our IDs checked at the door by someone dressed up in a clown costume. We were like, well, this is normal. We go in and get our IDs checked again at the bar. We found out that the guy didn't even work there. It was just this guy dressed up in a clown outfit that checked our IDs. So we go back and we start talking with him. We were like, "Hey, what's up with that?" He was like, "Nah, we're just goofing around. Like, we're part of the Detroit Fire Department, and they have a clown team that they have for parades in Detroit,
Like little like community events. They dressed up as clowns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is something I had no idea about.
Hey, news to me.
Yeah, but anyway, they end up there. We tell them we're a band from North Carolina. They're like super stoked on it. They're like buying us shots. We're all just we're just drinking. We're having a blast. I mean, these guys are our family at this point. And you know, we didn't have a place to stay or anything. And he was like, "Hey, like, I mean, I got a basement that you guys can stay at, like, if you want, but you got to keep up." We were like, "Well, what does that mean?" And he's like, "Well, I got to take the fire truck back I I gotta drop the fire truck off before we head home. And we were like, well, okay. So we go outside. There's like this 1950s Ford fire truck sitting out front, and he starts pulling off. He turns on the sirens. He turns on the lights, and we're like, we're following this guy. He's just running through stoplight. I mean, people are stopping for us, and we're following we're following this guy through all these stoplights. We finally drop him off. He pulls it into this like one of those big shipping containers,
Mm-hmm.
and just locks it up in there, and we drive to his house in silence because we were we were dying
We
from
were
laughter.
dying,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah.
there was like hurt stomach the next morning because
Yeah.
how hard you laughed at just the ridiculousness of the experience you're having.
This clown in this 1950s fire truck just leading us through town. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, morale was lifted. Yeah.
So we got to give a shout out to those guys. They showed us a great time.
Shout
And
out to Detroit Moto Mob.
I'd be a fool to say that in all of the hilariousness of us drinking with these clowns, that someone comes into that bar and was like, "Are you guys Frontside?" And came to the show because it was right near the bar where we were at.
Oh man, I forgot that.
And so we had someone, at least one person, show up. But you know what? We showed him a much better time than he would have ever got seeing us play live.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure.
But
That's awesome.
and I think that's the. I mean, there are other things that happen, but I mean that's that's definitely one of the best, one of the better memories we've had. Yeah.
I'll throw a story in.
Yeah, go for it, man. We have plenty of time.
Hey, I got a funny one. It's just some small world stuff right here. 2016, we're playing a basement in New Jersey, the New Brunswick area. It's a basement show. People are being rowdy. It's New Jersey. It's my first experience there, and we're trying to be conservative on the road in terms of like not spending too much. So we've got this big half-gallon of whiskey that we're drinking on, and we find this guy going into our gear and like drinking our stuff at the basement show. Very much to be expected. We're just like, "Hey man, what's going on?" He's like, "Contribute." So that just ended up being something we kept saying the whole rest of the tour, where we were out with our boys in champagne-colored cars. Shout out champagne-colored cars. Because 2 years later, my boy Tyler from the band, he's back on tour, and this is 2018 in New Jersey, and just sends me a picture of this dude. And he's like, "Some things never change."
Was it the same guy?
It was the same
I
guy.
didn't know about
He
that.
showed up at their show in the New Brunswick area of New
Jeez.
Jersey. So, hey, if you're playing a basement show in New Brunswick, keep an eye on your shit.
Get ready to contribute.
Or you better contribute. They're gonna make you.
That's fucking crazy. How much has like your lives changed since you got signed to this like new record label?
Gotten a little busier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It runs parallel with kind of whatever changes are going on in 2020 also. So a bit hoping that the best is yet to come, really, in terms of that.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of sucks because like this year is like completely shut down and there's like no hope for really local, smaller venues. I feel like a lot of venues aren't going to make it through the season, which is kind of unfortunate. So like how drastic has it been for like you guys as far as like playing shows and stuff like that?
we'd typically just be kind of sparing about shows we would do locally anyway. It's definitely been different not playing for. I mean, what is it? I mean, what has it been now? 7 months?
Yeah.
A little over half a year. I mean, that's longer than we've ever really gone. We got to play. We got to do a live stream with Cat's Cradle, and that was pretty cool. They didn't have the main speakers going. I understand why they didn't have them on, but it would have been cool if they had them on. But yeah, I mean, that's just just really miss it a whole lot. And I
Yeah.
mean, we kind of spaced the tours out anyway, so that hasn't changed too much. But even just staying up, gonna do local stuff or a little out of state stuff.
I mean, we would be gearing up for this next release that's coming out, the revival, to try and do something in support of it. But the reality is, it just might not be a touring option for us whenever we drop it. And even if there is, there's going to be a lot of people hungry to get back on the road and a lot less venues to go to, unfortunately. So that's a big thing. If you've got local venues in your area that are doing anything to, to try to support themselves, like we did for the Cat's Cradle, I mean, just take a second to think about the time you spend there and what it means to you, because these are my homes. This is my going out, is going to see live music. So without that, it's like, okay, what do I do to socialize now? Right.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
I'd kill to be in the middle of a crowded room right now.
The whole pop punk wave seems like it's popping off because like MGK just put out a record and made everyone know that pop punk is relevant again. So like, of course I have
Thank
to ask
God.
this.
Uh,
So what is your
Punk's not
take?
dead yet.
What is your take on the whole MGK thing and the pop punk movement currently?
Well, I guess we touched on it a little bit, but I'm glad that he's making a name for it. MGK is a gateway drug.
just
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever just broadens everyone's horizons. I already listen to pop punk, so maybe MGK, if I was listening, maybe that would open me to something else. But maybe he'll open someone's ears to this world of music. And really, I think people listen to music within a box. I think I'm definitely guilty of it, and most people are. But you kind of listen to the music that you're just close to, which is obviously what's going to happen by nature. But there's good shit everywhere, and I hope MGK shows people that.
It's funny because like I've been seeing a lot of kickback, and then like I've just seen like from other bands that like have even been on the show. So like, how do you guys feel about like very successful bands? Like, do you think that's like a stigma in the community, or do you think it's like necessary, or what is your take on the whole being popular in the scene thing?
Someone has to be that band that sets the bar. They're like, hey, this is what you can do with music. This is who you can reach.
You think about who's actually going to be listening to it, and you know what? With talking to some people, I mean, I don't think some people really get into music the way that all of us might. Some people really just, I mean, they're happy listening to what you would hear, like, when you go in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's great that artists are big, because they're supposed to be mainstream artists and they serve that purpose really well. But for somebody listening that wants to dig deeper, that's why there are, underground bands, and that's why you have a completely different set of artists. I mean, everybody serves their purpose, and that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a interesting conversation because you have your people that are like, he sold out or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like, well,
Well, like he did, and that's okay.
It's a business,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, saying he sold out by doing pop punk, I think you're pretty late on calling him out. I mean, he's already been popular and doing back and forth publicity stunts with Eminem. He's not. This isn't his sellout.
Yeah.
right.
And all those are haters.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've been thinking about lately and saying I've gotten to share here is there's a lot of mentality of competition within the same circles. And where some friendly competition breeds great results, I think ultimately we really should be trying to lift each other up. So if MGK is doing success with pop punk, and we're trying to like market ourselves among a pop punk route, that should be good for us.
Yeah.
Would I go on tour with MGK? All day.
Yeah. Especially if I was in the category as him. Yeah, fuck yeah. I would totally go on tour.
Yeah, we're changing from Coheed to MGK.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
One band we can tour with, MGK. With Blink-182 as direct support for us.
Nice. How much time do you guys have tonight? I don't want to like hold you guys up forever, but I just want to be
No.
aware.
Yeah, no, we're doing.
We're kicking it.
All right, cool. Well, if you guys have to get a drink or something like that, I won't be offended if you guys, because like I'm just hanging out, so I'm just gonna keep it real. It's not gonna be like this isn't some structured thing. Like we're just having fun here. We're hanging out and talking music.
Should
Yeah,
be
there you
good.
go.
That's rolling with the boys.
Because I'm like over here smoking my crack pipe in front of you guys, but it really is CBD. I just want to be full disclosure on that one. Yeah, recently, like I said before, I was strictly like a metalcore podcast, but I feel like I checked my demographic, and I've been doing this since like March or whatever, and I'm not stupid or anything. I try to be smart with what I do, but I realize my demographic is definitely like the Warped Tour demographic. Because I'll do little quizzes on my Twitter, and I just try to see the interaction and stuff like that. So I try to get to better know my fan base and people that actually listen to what the fuck I'm talking, even though I don't know why you would, but it feels necessary to reach out to like pop punk and stuff like that. Generally, I feel like it's like a lot of the same listeners that are checking out the same bands, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and that's like even still talking about the MGK thing. I mean, like that's where people start, and they can branch off of something like that, and I mean, everything falls under that umbrella, in that
Mhm.
what you were saying, Warped Tour
Yeah.
realm. I mean, there's a lot of stuff under that umbrella.
And
Yeah.
I hate to be the guy, but like, where'd the name come from? But I just feel like there's got to be some kind of like maybe a skateboard thing to it. So like Frontside, is that pertaining to skateboarding, or like where does that come from?
Yeah, no, it's from skateboarding. We all, when we were younger and more agile, we would skate, and yeah, I mean, it was really just we had another member in the band back in the day, and we kicked him out, and we were like, hey guys, we need a new name. Somebody did a Frontside something, and we were like, hey, let's just call it Frontside, and it stuck.
That's really
There
cool.
we go.
Well, we said let's call it Frontside, and we were like, no, let's call it FS, and then that turned out to be a bad decision because we weren't thinking about the internet.
Yeah. Thank God someone was like, we need to re-release your stuff, but we cannot do it under 2 letters.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's a big reason why you should sign onto a label. Hopefully they'll just keep it real with you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Keep me from making any more bad decisions.
We're all from North Carolina here, so like, well, I'm assuming that you guys have always kind of been here. Explain what it was like growing up in North Carolina from your perspective.
Well,
Let me tell you about it.
well, see, I grew up out on the Tar River.
And I was Wilson County.
I was in Nash County. No, I mean, I actually did grow up out in the country, and I mean, like, I'll ride by one of those trucks that's like hauling pigs, and like I'll like get a whiff of their excrement, and I'll be like, man, that reminds me of my childhood. And I think that's one of the ways you're from North Carolina, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like either that or just an endless, like, I mean, we grew up on just this, it was just this huge cotton field and stuff. I mean, like those are my, like childhood memories growing up in North Carolina. So, I mean, I have like a weird sweet spot for the strange things about here. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good in North Carolina. I mean, there's bad everywhere, so I wouldn't even want to state that about my home state, but
you're not wrong.
I think you'll find some of the greatest Southern hospitality ever in this state, and some of the most beautiful scenic views in North Carolina. So it's I'm very appreciative to be from here. We might be marketed as a pop punk band, but we don't hate our hometown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's definitely been different. I mean, in terms of, markets that you could have, chose to grow up in and start a alternative rock band. North Carolina is probably among the worst places to do that, but that's kind of just made it a more unique experience, and kind of, I think that's kind of lended us to just doing something different and not necessarily having, bands that are right there showing you what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, because it's great that we have the internet and tools to reach outward, because I mean, people love their, bluegrass and country, and and rap is huge here, and
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
it's rock is definitely not the bread and butter of, North Carolina's music scene. So
Yeah, not
that
so
was,
much. And like when it is, it's like Three Doors Down and like Shine Down and that type of shit.
What's that festival?
Carolina Rebellion.
Yeah.
It became something else though, right? Like
It's like Epicenter.
they rebranded it.
Yeah, because you can't be a rebel anymore.
No.
Definitely
they had
get
some-
canceled.
See, Josh is a rebel.
There's some really awesome bands on that lineup, but I think what you're hitting at, some of that kind of rear end rock,
Yeah.
it's all there.
Yeah, it's definitely butt rock. I mean, I check about on the show all the time. Like, I listen to like Sirius XM all the time, like Octane.
There's going to be some good stuff on there, but
Yeah.
as with radio, Sirius XM, you're going to get a bit of a better selection, but it's still, you're still going to get what you expect out of it a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird because, I mean, I'm originally from California, and I moved here like when I was in like first grade or something like that, and kind of went back and forth. And then I predominantly was here from seventh grade on. And I'm basically 30 years old now. So like, I mean, I claim this to be home. I mean, like I've been here forever, and I can imagine what my life would be without North Carolina. But I just wanted to paint the picture for like viewers, because a lot of people like aren't really from here, so it's kind of funny. And that's honestly why I was like, dude, I mean, you guys are fucking sick. I'm not downplaying that. You guys are sick, and the fact that you guys are from North Carolina, it was basically a bonus. I wanted to be able to share the North Carolinian experience with the listeners.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Appreciate
Thank you.
bringing that to light. Yeah, I've entertained leaving, but not for that long.
Right. So
I never did it. I mean,
Man, I wasn't going to do it.
I wasn't gonna do it. I just thought about it.
just thought
Well,
about it
yeah.
once.
Yeah.
I could name so many good bands from North Carolina,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean it's like where to go for good music, right?
Right.
It just means I play music here. So yeah.
Definitely. Are you guys big into NFL or fucking sports for that matter?
No.
No.
I just wondered if there's like any kind of like a pride with the Panthers or any of that kind of stuff going on.
Oh, I mean, there's definitely pride, but I mean, I'm not into like NFL or anything.
Current.
Yeah, like I mean, it's actually really easy. I always find it very strange when people have this allegiance towards some team they had nothing to do with. Like, like if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, like that's just strange to me if you're living here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I mean, like I'll pull for the Panthers. I pull for the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Shout out Hurricanes for opening up for us at the PNC Arena, and
Oh, cool.
and also, yeah, I mean,
I definitely say
what's another one?
we're more of a hockey band than a football band. Because of that, we did play at an NFL game once during the intermission. So
NHL.
shit, we're not sports people, but we did play. We did play that game.
That's
We
really
did,
cool
yeah.
though.
it's definitely easy to pull for North Carolina teams because there's no like Tom Brady or whatever.
What were some like memorable shows for you guys like going to as kids and like just kind of influencing your whole taste?
Not to like be like revisiting a similar thing, but in 2007 we went to see Coheed and Cambria together, and The Fall of Troy opened that show, and that those two bands together are gigantic for us. So looking back on that now, it's 13 years later. That was probably extremely significant.
Probably.
Probably.
Jury's still out on that one.
Yeah. Torch played, and they were the middle band. So
I thought it was Clutch.
it was Clutch.
Okay.
I've seen both Clutch and Torch with Coheed, so I get those mixed up. But they could have ruined it for us. Jury's still out.
Jury's still out on that one, yeah. Still not too sure. Yeah, I mean that was a big one. Obviously, all the Warped Tours and stuff. We live in Durham now, but we grew up in a place called Wilson, and there was this place called the Luna Bean there, which I don't know if you are aware of or have heard of, but it was just it was like this little coffee shop venue thing, and I mean they weren't huge acts that came there, but some of the touring bands like coming up and down the East Coast, they would stop in, and I think that was a very influential part, getting me to want to play music, and and also giving us a place to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right back to it, having a local venue that allows for up and coming people a space to express their art is crucial. When things come back, we cannot just have the big corporate venues who were going to make it 10 years, right? We've got to have these places where small art can be created, or else there's nowhere else no one starts at the top, right? We've got to have our stepping stone venues, and it's just really important.
Yeah. The only thing I'm like really fearful of now is like how many of those smaller venues are going to make it through the whole COVID crisis,
Yeah.
I mean, they're already closing down. There's no telling,
And as far as the foreseeable future, I mean, like who really knows like when, like we'll be able to play shows again, we'll be able to visit shows.
And this is a sad thing because we look at, you bring up the NFL, we look at them and they're like, we're going to operate at a limited capacity. Well, that's still 15,000 people. And you're telling me I can't get these 10 people to come see my band again, but I understand there's no real safe way to tell people not to be close to each other. That is the experience of a concert. So I definitely understand the difference, but it's a shame that this is what will be the very last thing to come back of all forms of entertainment, is going to be live music. So
we should start putting chairs in venues and corralling them, sectioning them off and only allowing groups of 4 people to sit all around in front of the stage. That's what we should do. Yeah. It should be like a jazz show.
I mean, realistically, you put it that way, the only thing that could work, theater shows could exist because it's already seated and but that's still like, no one wants to be the first theater to try that because it's instant backlash. So until now, we got any ballsy theaters listening to this? Make your move. We'll be there.
Yeah, it makes no sense because, I mean, just speaking about the NFL and shit like that, like over the weekend I was watching, and I mean, they have fans back. So I'm like, there's really no difference between that kind of social gathering and like maybe like a small venue and just like capping it off to like even a third of what it should be, I guess. But it's confusing, like we're in a time where we can't watch shows. We can go to a theater, We can go to an NFL game even or a bowling alley, but now live music ceased to exist. So it's kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is really like just maybe we're taking some risks by already doing these other things, but with music, part of the experience for a lot of people, you say like you stage diving or you standing in the back, like a lot of people want that stage dive and they want to be close. And I think whenever music comes back, it shouldn't be where we are telling people they can't do that. And that's really just the dilemma that we're at. It's bringing people together a way that most things cannot.
Yeah, definitely.
Whenever are you comfortable being smushed between two people and soaked in their sweat? Only at a concert, dude.
Yeah, I miss it a
Wow.
lot, man. Like it's kind of weird because places in Charlotte, like I mean, even Tremont, Amos's, I mean, they shut down like pre-COVID, so like they didn't even make it, before the whole crisis pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's like it's fucking sad, man. It's just like I feel like small venue places are going to be few and far between moving forward. I don't know, man. It's kind of discouraging, but like for you guys personally, do you know you're going to have something lined up when hopefully when this thing is over with?
No.
I mean, I'm sure that locally there will be opportunities for us to play, and we'll just have to wait for that. But getting on the road, that's a whole nother story. We're probably just gonna have to fight for any kind of opening slots or unsuccessful, poorly routed tours. We'll take them.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we filmed a music video at this place called Emerge, and that was kind of like a I mean, it was a smaller to mid-sized venue, and that already closed down.
Hmm.
So we kind of lost that.
Shout out Emerge, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in
Jeez.
peace. And I mean, there's going to be Neptunes now.
Are they closing?
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's what's available. That, Kings, I mean,
Slims, Kings,
Slims,
Poorhouse. I mean, Raleigh is going to persevere, and if every venue were to close, one would open when things could happen
yeah.
because there's just a community there. But smaller towns that like the where we went to shows growing up in Wilson, I mean that place couldn't last on its own. It sure as hell couldn't last during something like this. And
Who knows what's happening all over the nation?
yeah,
Hmm.
your smaller towns where you don't have big music scenes is going to be rough for those bands who had tight knit communities in those places.
Yeah,
True that.
seriously, that's tough. And something I wanted to touch on, you mentioned being from Wilson. So like how does a band from a smaller town gain traction? Did you do it via the internet? Did you do it through playing shows when you could, or just speak on that a little bit if you can?
You don't get traction. The wheels just keep spinning. You never go anywhere. No. Yeah. I mean, well,
We
I mean, we,
moved.
we yeah, we
Yeah,
moved. Yeah.
that's really it. We
Yeah.
moved.
I mean, we went off to college, and we moved to Greenville, and there were more people there that were interested in, you know, going to a house show, or at least just going to Tipsy Teapot. And we we were there, and then we moved to the Triangle, and that ended up being, kind of, a better center for where alternative music was happening. So I mean, that's what you do. I mean, just, get out of your. Oh, do we hate our hometown? We don't hate our
We don't
hometown.
hate
We
our
don't hate it.
hometown.
No, but you still need to get out. So I'll agree with that sentiment. Yeah, I mean, just doing that, meeting people. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are probably better at the internet than I am. So, networking is really important, and sometimes it's good to be just a yes band, you know, m- just to meet folks and get other opportunities, and then eventually, like, that could grow into something more. It's kind of, yeah,
Be a yes band until you don't have to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask my final question. And since we started in a fun way, we're going to end this thing in a fun way as well. So, if you could have anything in the world, tangible or not, what would it be?
Contentment for me and all my people is good. Be happy for what you have and be okay with what you don't.
Mhm.
That's something that that can ruin some people's day and lives, obsessing over one thing that doesn't mean shit to someone else. So yeah, just contentment.
World peace.
Nice. I've actually gotten the answer one time before, but it's a very selfless answer for sure. Dude, thank you guys so much again. I mean, I really do appreciate it. Congrats on the new single and congrats on signing with Revival.
Well, thanks for having us, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're gonna have another single coming out next month. So I mean, just keep the ears peeled. The Spotify is followed. Whatever you got to do. And honestly, man, when all said and done, we're playing shows again. Let's link up in Charlotte.
Yeah, dude, we're going to have to for sure. I'll definitely be there. It's down the road for me. That was Frontside. Go check out their new single, Give It Up. And thanks again for being on the show. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys. That pretty much does it for the podcast. If you made it this far, you're a real one. If you really enjoyed the show and are feeling mighty generous, for the small price of a pumpkin spice latte, you can contribute to the podcast each month, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Thanks again, and you don't have to donate anything. Sharing is completely free and always appreciated. Or you can follow me at native_podcast on all social media. I can't wait to see you on a future episode, and until then, shine on.
Hell yeah.